Hey, how's it going? I'm Tyler, and I'm going to show you the node tree that I typically use as a starting point. Now, there's plenty of node trees out there, and there's plenty of really small ones to make you think that you don't need that many nodes to make a good look. And there's really big node trees where it makes you think you have to use like 1,000 nodes to get a look. And I don't think either of those are true. I think it really is up to preference and how someone shot something and how much actual fixing you have to do in a shot. If it's shot super well, you shouldn't have to do much. Now, the node tree I'm going to show you that I use, there's a bunch of nodes, right? But I really don't use all of them. I maybe use a handful of them, and I'll kind of show you my general workflow of how I try to get a look. Now, some of the nodes that I'm using, they're going to be dctls, and there's going to be a film emulation in there. So don't get scared off because, sometimes if you want to get a look, you got to pay. And also, sometimes paying is great because it makes your life easier because you're not having to do all of the extra groundwork in DaVinci Resolve with all of the tools versus using something like a dctl. Now, dctl is just the DaVinci color transform language. It basically means someone made something cool as a tool that you don't have to mess with the other tools. You can mess with these, and they're simplified, and they do a bunch of different stuff. I'll leave links down in the description of where to find these and everything like that. Obviously, I'm not sponsored, meaning I'm not sponsored or not paid. The links aren't like affiliate links. I'm just a guy in a room having fun and hoping for the best. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, let's jump into DaVinci Resolve and just see how I work with some footage. Okay, so right now we have an image of me, right? I filmed myself. I look dope. Just joking, but yeah, I look dope. Anyways, so we have this image right here. We're gonna take a look at our color management. And color management, basically you're just trying to find the color space you want to work in and how much color space do you want to play with, because if you're just in Rec 709, you're gonna have a limited color space. But if you're grading in a huge wide gamut like DaVinci Wide Gamut or ACES or even ARRI, you want to start at a big point and not a small point, right? And then whenever you export, you might export Rec 709, but you graded in a wide gamut, so you're getting more stuff going on. Anyways, you probably watched plenty of videos on that, so I'm gonna shut up. And okay, so in our color management right now, it's DaVinci YRGB Rec 709A, same as timeline. So what I'm going to do is I am going to do the output color space as Rec 709A, is because I'm on an Apple Mac and there's gamma shift issues when you export with Rec 709 gamma 2.4, right? So the timeline color space, I want to set it at DaVinci Wide Gamut as the widest color space you can use. And you'll see why in a second. Okay, so DaVinci YRGB, DaVinci Wide Gamut, Rec 709A is the output color space. And we're going to be working in a color space transform node-based timeline, however you want to call it, right? So we're going to save that. We start off with this image, and I'll show you the advanced node tree that I use. So I drag this on here. It's a power grade, and you will see a bunch of nodes, right? I try to organize it so I'm not having to like expand the page. They're all in one spot. But yeah, general stuff like noise reduction, I have that turned off. And then we have our color space transform, or IDT, input display transform. So what I have is whatever color space I'm in, whatever camera I'm using, and then output color space to DaVinci Wide Gamut, right? So right now I'm using the DJI Ronin 4D. So I am going to want to put DJI D-Gamut, D-Log, DaVinci Wide Gamut, DaVinci Intermediate as the out, right? And then on the other end, on the ODT, we're going to do DaVinci Wide Gamut, DaVinci Intermediate, Rec 709, and then Gamut 2.4. And you might ask yourself, Tyler, why are you using Rec 709 Gamut 2.4 as your output color space, and you're not just using Rec 709A? Well, I'll show you right now. So when I have this set up right here, if I do Rec 709 and Rec 709A, just look what happens. The image gets darker. And I don't want the image to get darker. I want it to stay as bright as possible. And then I make those changes. Now, it's a subtle thing, but I've just noticed whenever I do this and I actually say I have these images pop up and I exposed it correctly, if I put it in Rec 709A as the output color space on that color space transform, it just gets darker and I'm like, that's not how I exposed it. So we will go back to Rec 709 Gamma 2.4, brighter image starting point, right? And then all of these over here. So noise reduction, we have the input transform, we have the output transform right here. And then we have a thing called scatter. And this is basically just a diffusion. I'll show you in a second. And then we have our balance node, which is a node that I use for balancing the image color, white balance, that kind of stuff most of the time. And also just exposure adjustments in general on the HDR wheels. So whenever I turn this on, it'll bring my image down even further. And you can see a bigger version of it, right? So if I press Command D and turn that off and on, you'll see that difference right there whenever I turn that on. And this is me just having it set already, like, because I always typically overexpose my image to bring it down just because it helps with noise. So if you overexpose one or two stops and then bring it down, you have less noise or no noise. And then if you're wanting to add film grain, you can just add film grain and you're not dealing with noise reduction, and it speeds up your process just in general. Okay, so we have this balance right here. I turned it down, the exposure, by 1 stop, and my image is sitting around 70. Maybe I want to turn it down a little bit more and maybe get to like 65. Actually, let's do 60. Let's make it a little deeper, right? And then we have our shadows, so we can, mess around with our shadows. A lot of times I'll like to desaturate my shadows, and sometimes desaturate my highlights, especially if you're going for that film look. A lot of times I've noticed is desaturated highlights and desaturated shadows. So that's pretty cool. And a little quick tip, if you go under your HDR wheels under black offset and turn this up, it kind of gently lifts your blacks and your darkest points into this almost film-like turning up. So if you see right here, if I turn this down, right, and then I turn it up, it's kind of gently lifting those blacks in that way. And it's up to preference and how much you want to turn it up. But maybe, something like 0.35, right? Right. Okay. So we turn that off and on. We can kind of see the difference right there, right? And then next up, there's a gray chart, and this is Colin Kelly's gray chart. It basically helps you, find the middle gray point, blah, blah, blah. It's pretty cool. And then I have a set of 3 power windows. So there are essentially 3 parallel nodes with different types of power windows, whether it's circle, whether it's draw your own power window, whether it's a fading power window. It's up to you. I don't use these all the time, and it really just depends on how you shot it. So if I messed up on something or I want something a little bit darker in this lighter, I'll use a power window. Next up, we have mono nodes, and this is basically a hue, saturation, and skin tone and density working nodes. So the first one is a tetrahedral one. So you can change, the red sat on here. You can change the red hue. You can change the density, that kind of stuff. And it has for yellow, green, cyan, blue sat, blue density, and then global density and deep slider basically controls, how it creates density on the highlights. And then next up is the next dctl. It's the same thing essentially. It's not tetrahedral, but it specifically hits those skin hues versus the whole image, and it has density also and all these other colors. If you want one of the best dctls, mononodes.com. Just look at the website, read into it, look at their shop, and find something that you like. There's a lot of great ones. I love the color density tools, the Look Lab print, hue twist, color split toning. Just look at it. You'll like it. Okay, next up, we have a qualifying tool. This is for skin. Say if I messed up my skin, I want to qualify it and then adjust it. And then we have a skin balance. This is also by mononodes.com. It's a utility tool that shows your skin tones. Now, if I turn this on, we can see 3 different colors going on: magenta, yellow, and green. The correct skin tone is yellow. You don't have to make all of your skin completely yellow. So know that you don't have to do that, but typically, depending on your skin tone, you want it to be one specific color mainly, right? So if I'm a darker skin tone, maybe I want it to be more green, right? But I am a white man, and I want it to be more on the yellow side. So right now it's more on the magenta side from what I'm seeing. And there's many different ways to be able to adjust this. Sometimes I go on the balance node. Sometimes I will actually just change the white balance or the temp and tint. It's really up to you, but no, you want to do subtle shifting. So what I might do is I might go into that mono nodes where the skin hue is and maybe change the skin hue around. So now I can see it's mostly yellow. So when I change the skin hue and I turn the skin balance off, I can kind of basically look at it and see the before and after. And yeah, I like that, right? So it's a subtle thing. Next up, it's the big boy. It's the film emulation I use. It's the only film emulation I think anyone should be using, because now you have like Dehancer and Film Convert and Cineprint 16, and you have Film Look Creator in DaVinci Resolve, which is free if you have DaVinci Resolve Studio. And honestly, all the other ones, they're good, but whenever you put it on, you feel a little bit of something like, oh, that's cool. But whenever you turn on Filmbox, I can't explain it, and you're not going to necessarily see it on YouTube. But when you turn on Filmbox, you're like, what is happening right now? This is amazing. So Filmbox right here, let's just make it big. So if I turn Filmbox off, that's what my image looks like. It looks normal and regular and great. When I turn Filmbox on, it looks so good. And the key thing is that Filmbox isn't using or utilizing the tools necessarily within DaVinci Resolve for its color management. It almost has its feeling of its own color science or its own color management in a way. But I'll do a simple rundown of it so you can kind of get an idea of how it works. So with filmbox, when you initially have it, you have options, right? At the top, there's a full, negative only, print only, halation, and grain only. Negative and print only, those are used, say, if you're doing putting on a negative, which is like, essentially a log image, and then you're going to grade in between, and then you put a print only at the end of your node tree. It's up to you. So I am on full right now, and then under the print, I have a as standard version 2.0, and then the displaced color space is RCM SDR. And basically that means like I'm working in a color space transform like node tree, and I don't want you to color it for me. I want that node to color it, or finalize it, is that's a better way of saying it. But you have options down here, right? So you can choose from XMNI Gamma 2.4. It's obviously going to look bad because of the nodes on there, but you can do all of these, DaVinci Wide Gamut, ACES, you name it, you can do it. So we have RCM SDR on there, and we can go under camera and we can change the exposure of the camera within this. And it works a lot like the HDR wheels in terms of, photometric exposure changes. And then you can change the temperature. Temperature slider on this is just better than anything on DaVinci Resolve. It's so much better. And then tint and shift is the same. It's just so good. And this thing is expensive. I mean, a year subscription is $350. Perpetual license forever is $1,000. And if you're making a film that's over $2 million, which I don't know if you are, but I'm not. Good job, by the way. And that's $5,000 if you want to get the perpetual license for something over a $2 million budget. But if you want to get the full license, $1,000. If you want to, have it for a year, $350. I recommend getting the free light version, the demo version that's only like HD, and try it out. It's sick. Filmbox, videovillage.com. Just go there and look at it. It's amazing. Anyways, moving on. So we have the option to change this right here. We can revert to preset, and basically we can choose from 60 millimeter, 35 millimeter, 35 millimeter full frame. Say you want 35 millimeter full frame, and we have 250D clean. It only gives you the option for 250D clean when you're on full frame. But if you go to color and tone, you can change that right here. And we're at 250D, and I like it right there, but you can see 200T, 500T, 50D. You can see all of the differences. 250D is great for interior daylight sequences. And then there's gamma compression. So if anything's going crazy with your colors and it's warping out or being like too bright or weird, you can change that in here. And then we have halation. So if we enable this, it's very subtle. So if I zoom all the way in and you look at it, very subtle, but you can change the radius, the strength, you can change the saturation on this thing, turn it off and on, and you can see those differences in halation. This is probably the best halation you're going to get. It is just, look at it. Just look at it. And then we have the grain. The grain, you can change strength on the grain, normal stuff, change saturation, soften up, turn down the highlights of your grain, take down the strength, be subtle about it. Usually 20 to 30% grain is good. So out of, 3, just like 0.6 or something like that. So something around there. So it's not like insane. And then, you have stuff like dust where you can enable it and do very heavy. And, the dust is really good. Like, it's amazing. But I don't use dust all the time on my images. So, or ever really. And then gate weave is, typical shaky camera stuff. And I'm really simplifying this a lot because I'm running out of time on my memory card. But yeah. And then lab is probably one of my favorite parts. Basically, you can be adding vibrance to your image. You can add more contrast, which the contrast tool is just really good. Like perfectly filmic. And then push pull process, if you underexpose or overexpose your image, you can push it or pull it. And I use that quite a bit also. And then you have split toning, which is so sick. So I'm going to intensify it all the way up. And you're kind of seeing how it's splitting, right? Cyan, orange, right? And then you can change the hues on here like this. But we'll stick with that cyan orange look. And we turn it all the way down. And we just do it like 0.3. Turn it down. 0.3, right? And yeah, we might, turn down the halation a little bit, like the radius of it, and then turn up the sharpness of the halation. Yeah, that's better. Okay. And we have this beautiful image. Look at her skin balance again. Skin's looking pretty good, looking pretty yellow. Yeah, that is the basic node tree right there. There's other stuff that I use. I'm not going to go over it today because I'm running out of time. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video and you got something out of this. Like and subscribe. I love you. Go make something really cool and get excited. Sit down, color grade it, do it again. Film stuff every single day. If you're a filmmaker and if you're not doing that, do it. Just do it. Just film stuff every day. Be crazy about it. Film. Okay, I got like a minute left to record. I could stop the video right now, but I just want to like hang out, just hang out. What are you doing today? Are you watching YouTube videos all day and staying inside? Are you like going to a music concert? Are you an old man? Are you a young lady? Are you, are you, I don't know, like, let's hang out. Like, I want to get to know you, be best friends. Okay, 18 seconds left. Okay, bye.